Welcome back to the Six Pennies podcast. We have a quick reaction podcast today to the NBA where things are getting shaken up. Got Albie with me. How's it going?
What's up, Timmy? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. We decided we needed to get on the line really quick because there's a trade. Trade deadline is
Finally, there's a
approaching, and
trade.
finally there's a big trade. Wait, wasn't there a trade like the other day? Mason Plumlee,
Um,
man.
oh yeah, Plumlee.
Yeah.
Actually, both Plumlees, right?
Oh yeah, the other Plumlee got traded too. No,
Soon they're gonna be traded for each other.
or for the Zellers, right? Two Plumlees for two Zellers.
Yeah, too many white people.
The big trade we're talking about is Serge Ibaka going to the Toronto Raptors.
40-year-old Serge Ibaka.
27-year-old Serge Ibaka. I don't know how it's possible that he's still listed at 27 years old, but the trade is Serge to Toronto, and then Orlando's going to get Terrence Ross and a first rounder from the Raptors. What do you think about that? First thoughts.
First thoughts are, man, Orlando doesn't know what they're doing. Not this trade in particular, but just in general what they've been doing the last couple of years. I feel like the GM has no vision, the team has no vision. They basically lost all their assets in the last 6 months, and now they only have Terrence Ross and a first rounder to show for it.
Yeah, I mean we knew that they were doing everything wrong though. It started like they traded. I don't even know what they did. Tobias Harris, right? They traded him for like Ilyasova and Jennings, and they got rid of both of them. They traded obviously this Surge trade. They gave up Oladipo and Sabonis, and now they're just losing Surge. But I think it's actually a decent haul for them considering how bad they've been and like what they've done and the lack of vision. They needed to get rid of a front court player. Nobody was going to take Biombo for his deal. Vucevic doesn't play defense, so it was probably going to be Serge anyway. And getting a first rounder and a decent swingman and Ross, which is what they need, that's not too bad.
Yeah, I think if you were grading this trade in a vacuum, then then this is probably the best they could do. I mean,
Right.
from what reports are saying, there weren't many offers or good offers for Serge anyway. So getting a first round pick, I guess, is something that is pretty good. So maybe it's turning around for Orlando.
Yeah, you just got to think of it as everything else they've done was a sunk cost, and maybe this will be the start of something better. But I mean, the good thing is that Aaron Gordon hopefully can play more of the four now. I don't know why they had him as a small forward this whole year. He's been terrible.
Yeah, I mean, from a Toronto perspective, though, it just seems like they let Biombo go this summer, and now they picked up, his dad in Serge Ibaka.
They
So
basically traded
it's
them
kind
for
of
each other.
funny.
Well, yeah, I don't know how old Biombo is either, but he's seems around the same age as Serge by now. But anyway, Serge is listed at 27. You think he's at least 5 years older. Even if that's the case, 32 years old for a big man who doesn't have that many miles on him. Well, I guess we don't know that many NBA miles on him. He's learned how to be a
He
stretch
definitely has a
four.
lot of miles in Africa.
He's a good stretch four now, which is exactly what Toronto needs in their starting lineup, and he can play some defense. Still gets a couple blocks a game. What do you think this is going to do to the Eastern Conference? Now we know that K Love is going to be out for 6 weeks for the Cavs.
Yeah, so that's the second part of the big news of the day. But I think with that being said, I don't think Cleveland is going to lose their number one spot anytime soon. I know Boston's only maybe 2 games out, and Boston has been, I think, on fire, right, the last 2 months or so. It's been like them and the Warriors having the best record. But from a Toronto perspective, I think this puts them ahead of Boston, to be honest. I think because they're more seasoned recently in terms of playoff experience, I think they're primed and ready to make a serious playoff run. But we'll see. They're still led by Drake, and so who knows?
The Celtics have been really good the past month or so. They're only 2 games out, like you said. But actually, I think the best team outside of the Warriors has been the Washington Wizards, who are now number 3. They're only 2.5 games back of the Celtics. Actually, the Raptors are 5. They're tied with the Hawks, but they're the tiebreaker goes to the Hawks. I had no idea, but yeah,
Wait,
Raptors have
so it's
slipped all the way
it's
to 5.
one it's one Cleveland, two Boston, three Washington, four Atlanta, five Toronto.
Yeah, they slipped all the way to
Oh
5. I mean,
wow,
they're only four
interesting.
games 4 games out of that second seed. But if the Raptors are going to be in that 4-5 spot, that's trouble for them because they don't want to face the Cavs in the second round, not even get to the conference finals. Um,
Unless Boston makes a push and finishes number one,
wow.
then everyone will want to get into that 4 or 5 bracket.
That's true. I'm worried about LeBron though. He's playing way too many minutes. He is like leading the league in minutes. I don't know if that's still the case, but this far into the season, playing like almost 40 a game, he should be playing
Yeah,
like
it's insane.
30, 32 maybe, right?
Yeah, the guy already has more miles than like Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and probably Michael Jordan, and he's still leading the league in minutes. That's kind of absurd. And now with Kevin Love going down, I mean, you had to expect for him. He's only going to play more or the same amount of minutes as he's playing right now. So
No, this just opens the door for Channing Frye time. He's gonna take it over.
true, he's going to average like 5 or 6 threes a game.
Yeah,
Him and Corver.
just picked him up in my fantasy league, so let's hope so. Uh, what else do you want to talk about in the NBA? You want to move to the West?
We could do the West, but I did want to touch base on Kevin Love, and with his injury now, I think he's out for 6 weeks, I believe.
Yeah.
So who do you think is going to replace him in the All-Star game?
Oh, I mean all the snubs were out west. It was like Lillard and Rudy Gobert. In the East, I don't know. In Mike Conley, who was it in the East that was snubbed besides Embiid, who now has been out for like the past several games? And I don't know. I can't see him as being replaced by Adam Silver does the replacements if there's injury, right?
I think it has to be the process. I didn't know he's been out the last couple games. What's his injury?
I don't know. I just know he's sat out several games in a row
Okay.
now.
I mean, I
Brad
think I
Beal,
would
right?
I would go with the process first, or Bradley Beal. Like you said, Washington is on fire.
I guess I'm not sure like what the criteria is because they named the All Stars like a couple weeks ago, and Brad Beal
Hmm.
was good then, but he's been even hotter now, and the Wizards have been so good that I would say if we take into account the past 2 weeks since, then I would probably go with Bradley Beal.
Yeah. So funny thing about the process, you think for sure. I mean, we can all agree that he should be Rookie of the Year, right?
Well, as of right now, yeah, but go ahead.
But in the history of the NBA, there's been no one that's played less than 50 games that has won Rookie of the Year, and I think like he's on pace to around 50 right now.
Interesting, and he only plays like 25 minutes a game too, so
Yeah, yeah. It's also just a pretty weak class. Like I was looking through some of the rookies this year, and honestly, I didn't know some of those names.
who's the best one besides Embiid that you saw?
Oh, easy, Yogi Ferrell. Not even
Okay.
close.
How about somebody who's played more than like 10 games?
He's played 19, but
Oh, okay.
Brogdon, I think he was on there.
Oh yeah, on the Bucks. He's been a
And
good point
Jamal
guard.
Murray is pretty good on Denver.
Jamal Murray's had a
And,
very up and down season, but the
and
guy who
Denver just beat the Warriors last night, so he's
yes
on the upswing.
put like 140 points on him, but that's all Jokic. We'll talk about that on a later podcast because that guy's insane. The other guy that's been stepping up a lot has been Embiid's teammate, the homie Dario Saric, and he is hot now too. It's
Is he a
really
rookie?
yeah, it's really
Oh
validating
wow.
Hinkie. He was drafted the same time as Embiid, but this is his rookie season.
Oh wow. So yeah, Sarge and Embiid are great pickups. They're really coming into fruition. I like their other white guard though. He's so clutch. What's
T.J.
his name?
McConnell.
Yeah, he's hitting game winners left and right.
Yeah, you texted me the other day said he was top three clutchest players in the league right now.
And I think it was I don't know what the guy looks like, but I did see like a post game video of how he called out Nicholas Batum because Batum guaranteed that they would beat Philly last night, and
Ooh.
then this guy was like, "If you guarantee, you have to back it up," and they ended up
Wow.
losing to Philly. It was awesome.
That's great. I mean, Batum's a French guy though, so I guess there's no problem with talking trash to him.
That's true.
All right, let's
They
move.
just walk over.
Let's move to the West real quick, just for a couple minutes. Want to get your thoughts on
Okay.
who's going to challenge the Warriors the most. You hate the Warriors. We're not going to go into that, but who's going to be next? Who's going to be their biggest challenger? And are there any trades they need to make to get there?
Yeah. So this is a really big news flash for everyone out there. As of yesterday, February 13th, 2017, I became a Houston Rockets fan just for this year.
Wow.
And that's
Wow.
because of, yeah, just because that's
But you're
because of my just
but you're still not a
huge.
you're not a Rockets fan. You would like them to beat the Warriors.
Yeah, my hatred for the Warriors is that strong. However, I will say, I mean, a couple of people know this, but in like the early to mid 90s during Houston's run, um, my dad and I were huge Rockets fans. Like our favorite player was Vernon Maxwell at the time.
Nice.
So I'm just bringing back early 90s for me in terms of my Rockets fandom for this year. And with that being said, I think Houston, I mean, San Antonio is always going to be there, I think, because of Pop. Kawhi is just out of this world. But I think Houston's matchups with Golden State is probably the best, in my opinion. And I think I'm 100% into the Rockets right now. And I think for them to compete with Golden State, they need to pick up one or two more guys.
What kind of guys?
They, I think there were rumors of them going for Serge, and I'm glad Serge didn't go to Houston because I'm not a big Serge Ibaka fan. But I think they need another perimeter guy, kind of like Trevor Ariza clone, if you will. But there's not many of those
Yeah, I don't know
running around, so
where do you
it's
get
hard.
somebody? There's nowhere to get
Yeah,
anybody like that. That's the only thing you think they need?
yeah. I think they just need someone that can run around with Clay and Steph and KD for just like 5 or 10 minute spurts because
Yeah.
they're still gonna play Beverly Harden, who has Eric Gordon, but they need another like defense stopper.
I mean, it's probably going to come from from a team that's tanking, right? So that's like the Nets or the Suns. I would like to see them go
Yeah.
for PJ Tucker, probably hook them.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a good guy. It's funny that you brought up the Nets and the Suns. Yesterday when I decided to become a Houston Rockets fan, I started looking at all the rosters of the bottom tier teams, and I came across the Nets, and I looked at their depth chart. How are they an NBA team? It's kind of ridiculous. I
Who's the
don't know
second?
anybody on their team right now.
You know Brooke Lopez, but who's their second best player? Trevor Booker?
It's definitely Jeremy
Oh
Linsanity
yeah, but
Lin.
he hasn't played in like 30 games, so he doesn't even count.
Really? What's wrong
Yeah,
with him?
he's had a hamstring or something that's had him
His
down, and
hair is too long.
they just they just had reports like every day, like, oh, he's still not playing yet. Oh, he's not going to be available. This is me looking at fantasy basketball. It's like, oh, he's not in action. It's like obviously they haven't said anything about him. I think they're being cautious, but I'm not sure. Yeah, they have nobody to trade, but looking at the Suns, like T.J. Warren or P.J. Tucker
Mm.
might be one of those guys. So you don't think the Spurs
So
can do
so
it?
let me let
Yeah.
me let me flip it back to you. Who do you think should, or who do you think has the best shot against the Warriors right now?
I mean, you know, I'm the biggest Rockets fan or a huge Rockets fan, and I agree. Like they could use one more perimeter guy, but I still think the Spurs are the biggest threat. Um, they're gonna be like they're gonna be right there, and I'm not sure if they even need a trade just because Pop is so great and Kawhi is so great.
Hmm.
I honestly in like the 7 game series though they're not gonna do it right now. Spurs are 2, Rockets are 3. So they would face each other in the second round. We were kind of disappointed in that because we would rather one of them face the Warriors to knock them down a little bit in the second round. But the fun thing is that it could be the Jazz that could hit them in the semis that can hopefully knock them down a notch or even have a shot with their Rudy Gobert and Gordon Hayward. They've been pretty good lately.
Yeah, I mean we've been saying this about the Spurs for at least a decade, right? Like I don't know how they do it, but they're always there and they're always competing for championships. With that being said, though, I think that from a speed, like a pace of, I mean, they play with a good pace, but I think individual speed, I just don't think they can hang with Golden State. Whereas with Houston, I feel like they have more of the athletes, the longer, lanky type guys that can at least give Golden State trouble. When is Chris Paul supposed to come back?
Chris Paul's probably still got like 3 or 4 weeks to go. I can't see them as a threat. What do you think about the Jazz though? If they slow things down enough, do you think that they will be a threat?
I think the Jazz are a good team. They're just too unseasoned and inexperienced to compete with someone like the Warriors in the playoffs. If anything, I would give the Jazz like maybe one game in that series, but against a team that's been to the finals back-to-back years, and then they're about to win another 65 to 70 games this year. I don't
Yeah.
think I don't think the Warriors are going to have any trouble with Utah.
I guess that is kind of interesting. If the Clippers are 4, Jazz are 5. If the Clippers win and it's Clippers Warriors second round, and Paul is healthy, I guess that could be a little more interesting. But I don't see it just because I'm not a Clipper fan. I hate all their players.
Yeah, I mean the Clippers are. Would you say the biggest disappointment in the last 5 years?
I never really expected too much out of them either way, so I wouldn't say they're the biggest disappointment. I mean, everything will get interesting though if there's another big trade, like if Carmelo goes on the move, Jimmy Butler, Cousins if he goes on the market, and if one of these teams somehow picks up one of those types of guys, then everything's
Hmm.
gonna get shaken up next couple weeks.
Yeah, true. Also, Brooke Lopez has been rumored.
Brooke Lopez. I don't think any of these teams would want him.
Why not?
He's slow plotting. Like what? Which of these teams?
Plotting.
What? He shoots threes now. Maybe he could go to the Spurs.
Wait, he shoots threes?
Yeah, Brooke Lopez makes like 1.5, 2 threes a game. It's
Golly, what
insane.
has the NBA gone to?
Brooke Lopez and Marc Gasol drilling threes. All right, anything else?
No, I think we're good. That was a nice, quick podcast. Good reaction to today's news.
Should probably go back to work now. Thanks for joining the Six Pennies podcast.